Unbelievable. I might as well have just teed off with my fairway wood right from the start. Do you know that feeling? Yeah? Then today's video is just right for you. Have you ever asked yourself why you even tee off with the driver and not just use the 3 wood or 5 wood instead? Yeah? Then I'd like to explain to you why that's so often the case. Why so many players who come to me hit their fairway wood just as far as their driver, and what you can actually do about it so that in the future you hit longer, so that you hit your driver farther than your fairway woods. And don't worry, I don't want you to hit your fairway woods shorter just so your driver goes farther. No, I want you to learn how to hit properly with the driver. And what does it mean to hit properly? That's what I'm going to explain to you today. Who am I? My name is Philip Glimberg. I am a PGA teaching professional. I have been teaching golf for 16 years. I have been playing golf for over 30 years, and I am still a huge fan. What does that mean? Golf is still my biggest hobby. After the not-so-successful tee shot, I now have 90 meters left on this par 4. I decide to use a 52-degree gap wedge and will hit it fairly relaxed. The ball is in the rough, so I will play the ball a bit farther from my right foot to get a steeper angle of attack. And that's already the first key point. Because if your fairway wood goes as far as your driver, it's often due to the wrong angle of attack and the wrong dynamic loft. If you come in too steeply with your driver and have too little loft with your driver, it can definitely happen that your fairway wood even goes farther than your driver shot. And of course, that's absolutely not recommended. I want your big stick to go the farthest, significantly farther than your fairway wood. And today, I want to show you exactly how that works. Nevertheless, first I need to get the ball onto the green. As I said, I still have 90 meters to go, and I've chosen a gap wedge. Yeah, unfortunately it's a bit to the left. But at least it should be on the green. And every birdie putt is better than a bogey putt. A very wise saying, I would say. Why am I putting this instead of chipping the shot? Quite simply, because I feel that with the putter, the least can go wrong. As always, my routine is the same. I position myself in the middle between the ball and the hole and try to feel which way the putt will break. I feel very, very little, but it's still relatively early. I also see relatively little, but that's probably because of my glasses. And please, no stupid comments now. All right, here we go. Putt for birdie. The most important thing with such long putts is always distance control. And in this case, that's lacking. That was clearly too short. And with that, unfortunately, there's still a lot of work left to do. Now I actually have to concentrate more than I'd like. Putt for par, 2 meters, slowly from the left to the right. That's what I thought, but it didn't happen. And so I end up playing a very, very unnecessary bogey here. And it all started with the fact that I hit my wood just as far as my driver, or my driver as far as my wood, depending on how you look at it. So the reason for the bogey on the previous hole was definitely not the 3-putt. No, it was the drive that was hit too short, because the drive simply didn't go any farther than the shot with my 5 wood or 3 wood. And the reason why the driver often doesn't go farther than the fairway wood is very often the angle of attack. The angle of attack is the path the club takes to the ball. If the club swings down from above, that's called a steep angle of attack, and if the club head swings from below upward toward the ball, that's called a rather shallow angle of attack, and that's how you attack your fairway wood. With a steep angle of attack, that's absolutely fine. But if you attack the driver with a steep or too steep angle of attack, you simply won't get enough distance out of this club. That's why, as I said, you need the right angle of attack. And to achieve the right angle of attack, it's absolutely crucial to position yourself correctly in the setup. Positioning yourself correctly means your head should be placed in the middle between your feet, and push your hips as far as possible toward the target without moving your head. This puts you in a slightly tilted position, which is responsible for making your hands swing more from underneath upward. This way, you achieve a more positive angle of attack, which is extremely important for the driver. If you were to stand neutrally, I'll just call it neutral now, similar to how you would with a fairway wood, and hit the driver like that, your angle of attack would be too steep and you wouldn't get enough dynamic loft or tilt toward the ball. And as a result, your ball simply wouldn't travel far enough. That's just the point. Number one, when it comes to the angle of attack. Point number two, regarding the angle of attack, is the position of the left arm. If the left arm is too far forward during the backswing, this is forward and that would be back, then you'll also come into the ball too steeply, which again would mean you won't generate enough height and you won't create enough dynamic loft toward the ball. And that would also result in your driver not going any farther than your horse's neck. So when it comes to the angle of attack, pay attention to a good setup and to the position of your left arm. And then you'll already have the angle of attack under control. And that's exactly what I want to demonstrate now on this par 5. I step up and push my pelvis to the left while my head stays in the middle of my feet and my left arm goes back to 30 degrees. It's a bit to the right, but I hit it nicely upward. And that's exactly what you need with the driver. The second shot now has to be played with the fairway wood. That means I can immediately work out a bit of the difference between the shot with the driver and the shot with the fairway wood. With the fairway wood, I may, should, or must hit the ball on the downswing, especially when the ball is on the fairway. The whole thing will work particularly well or easily for me if my ball is placed relatively in the middle and if my sternum lands to the left of the ball at impact. In my view, the simplest way to ensure that the sternum lands to the left of the ball at impact is to start out already to the left of the ball. So that is the general approach I take. The second key point I want to emphasize and bring to your attention, which again is specifically about hitting the driver significantly farther than the fairway wood, is the concept of dynamic loft. Most of my students hit the drive with too little upward movement, which means they have too little loft on the ball. What is loft? Loft is the angle of the club face at impact. Dynamic loft is the angle of the club face at impact. And if you have too little loft at impact, then you have to do something to get your ball up in the air. And most students react by, let's call it, scooping a little. They try to lift the ball, and unfortunately that doesn't work at all, because then your ball will have too much spin. So how does backspin occur on the ball? Backspin is created by the relationship between the angle of attack and dynamic loft. And you have the right angle of attack as I just described at the tee, then you can also adjust your loft with the driver, because I also want you to bring your hands to ball height with the driver, that you might even lean the shaft forward a little, depending on what's needed. Because with that, you can then further reduce your spin rate. And if your ball launches high and has little backspin, then you'll be able to get the maximum out of your drive. And then your driver will go significantly farther than the shot with the fairway wood. And that's exactly the topic of today, the topic of today's video. So shot number 2, par 5, fairway wood. Now I'm hitting the ball downwards from top to bottom. I'm shifting my weight to the left, my lead arm is on the left, and I'm attacking the ball from above downwards. Not a bad shot. However, it could be a little at risk of ending up in the bunker. Okay, the fact that the ball landed in the bunker was a bit, let's call it optimistic for now. Still about 5, 6, 7 meters to the left of the bunker, so definitely much farther to the left than I would have liked to play. Nevertheless, shot 3 on the par 5. I've got a lob wedge in my hand, so everything is still possible. The ball is lying in the rough. Normally, I always recommend playing the ball a little closer to your right foot when it's in the rough. What does normally mean? The ball is lying really, really well. That means here I can now. Maybe even play the ball normally. Normal also means, of course, just right of center, so that my sternum is placed to the left of the ball here as well. And then I should actually be able to hit the ball quite well and cleanly. And that's my task for this third shot now. I have about, I would say, 30 meters to the flag, because the flag is all the way at the back of the green today. Shot 3, par 5. Yes, I really liked that one quite a lot. That should definitely make something very interesting possible for us now. So let's wait and see if today I can finally finish this round with a nice birdie on the last hole. What's really important right now, before I say goodbye, if you enjoy this content, please click on the subscribe button and the little notification bell right next to it. So you'll be immediately notified whenever a brand new video is online. Now, if you are ready, can I finally sink this putt now? And there it is, the birdie. Shout out to Even Roll. I'm still playing with the Even Roll, ER8 putter, and I've been doing so for quite some time now, and I'm still thrilled with it. And with this birdie, as always, I want to sincerely thank you for watching. Thank you so much for joining me again today. Today was all about why your driver might sometimes go just as far as your fairway would, like the shot with your fairway wood. And if you adjust your angle of attack compared to your fairway wood, then in the future, you should be able to hit your drive significantly farther than your fairway would. So just adjust your angle of attack, and then, as a next step, adjust your dynamic loft according to the angle of attack. And with less dynamic loft, and with a positive angle of attack, you'll get the most out of your driver. I wish you a great game, as always, and have fun trying it out. Ciao!